Great. I think we're live. So welcome, everybody. We're very pleased to be here today. And I'm joined by Chris DeNoia from Winning by Design. Just a quick introduction to this session today. This is an exclusive workshop for all of you Demodesk users. If you're not a Demodesk user and you're joined, don't worry, you are welcome. And we can talk to you a little bit more about Demodesk and Winning by Design and how the two work together. But we really brought Winning by Design together with Demodesk because we know that structure and execution of playbooks together is a winning recipe for accelerating revenue. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about demo best practices, about how to use playbooks and avoid engagement gaps in your sales process, and how to effectively close a demo and move on to next steps and work that all into your Demodesk setup. Just a quick background on Chris. He is a managing director at Winning by Design and has previously been both an instructor and an architect, and also has hired Winning by Design twice in his past at previous companies. So you are definitely in the hands of an expert, and I will pass it over to Chris.
Great. Thank you, Lauren. Really appreciate everybody's time today. Very excited to do this. I do want to give a shout out or a thank you to Eustace at Maurissier. Eustace was a mutual customer of ours that I was having coffee with in Fort Lauderdale while he was on a trip from Germany. And he's the one to mention, hey, you two teams, Demodesk and Winning by Design, need to get together and integrate some of these things. It'll be extremely powerful for our mutual customers. So that was the origin of this. That happened back in June, and here we are. We waited till the end of the summer to get this started. So really excited. I'm going to bring in some of my former instructor tools to cover our agenda. We're going to talk about how to demo. We're going to talk a little bit about how to use the playbooks in Demodesk to advantage. I think Lauren's going to pepper in some best practices there. We're going to talk about how to close the demo and move on to next steps, and then how to use the SPICE framework. And we may jump around a little because these are all intertwined. You need to know SPICE a little before you do a demo. So this is going to be fairly interactive as well. Lauren and I are going to run this more like a fireside chat because I can't see anybody else here because it's a webinar. But if you have any questions, please just put it in the comments. We will be monitoring the comments and answering them as we go along. So if you want to start there, let's start with a quick comment. How long have you been using Demodesk? Write that in the comment. We'll see the length of some of the customers that we have here. And while we're waiting for that to come in, we'll move on. So, Lauren, let's start off with, we've all seen bad demos and bad meetings before. So what are some of the characteristics of a poorly run demo?
Yeah. I think selling software in particular, you end up having a lot of information. So once that information is committed to memory, we tend to show up and throw up. We tend to run sort of unstructured meetings where they're not engaging. Our talk ratios are not in the right place. So this has, I think, a long challenge that has existed in the market where meetings just don't convert because they're not engaging. They don't convey information, and they simply don't convey value to the buyer.
Right, exactly. And that's the term that we like to use is, sort of offhand, is people just show up and throw up. They show up at the demo, they run through all of their software, all the solutions that they have, and at the end, they're like, yes, I just show the customer everything we did. It's perfect. And then the customer goes dark. And the customer goes dark because we did not meet their needs, because we did not show a proper demo. One of the things you'll see, and we'll talk about a little bit more, is Winning by Design, we use a lot of blueprints, right? Because the path to success is well worn, right? And we know how to run a good demo. So this is a blueprint. Normally in a course, we go through it a little bit slower, but I'm going to show you a couple of different things. First thing we want to do in a demo, obviously you want to prep. You want to prep to know what they're going to show, what we're going to show to them. And I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Right. After that, we need to start the meeting off with what we call ACE and agenda. Right. The ACE opener really for us is you start with the same way I started today's meeting. Just appreciate the call. I appreciate your time today. We want to confirm how much time they have. We have 60 minutes scheduled today. Does that still work for you? With the question, and then confirm the end goal. The purpose of today's meeting today is to demo our solution. Right? It's not a discovery call. It's not a contract negotiation. It's not a qualification call. All of those other things, right? Every meeting has its own purpose. So we want to confirm, are we here for the right reason? The most common mistake we see, or a mismatch between a customer and and the sales rep, is the customer shows up looking for a demo, and we're trying to do a discovery call. We haven't gotten our sales engineer on the line. Right. Then we want to look at the agenda. The agenda in a demo should be the features that we're going to show, and I abbreviate feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, that resolves a customer's pain point. Right. We don't want to show the entire solution. If it's not relevant to them, we want to show our customer's pain point. Right. So this is how we're going to run. This. We could do a quick summary of what the situation, the pains, or the problems they have are. Right. Let's use Demodesk as an example. Right. So some of the pains that Demodesk solves is capturing information in the CRM. Right. We've done a discovery call. We've done something else, or we're doing a demo. We're not capturing those things in the CRM. Right. So we're going to show a feature that is a CRM integration. One of the other features that Demodesk has that you're all aware of now are the talking notes, the talking points. Lauren, did I get the phrase right? What's the
speaker notes? Yes.
The speaker
Same
notes.
thing.
Sorry, speaker notes. The speaker notes.
Your narrative.
The speaker notes. You could put ACE and agenda in the speaker notes. Those are the playbooks, right? So we're kind of matching our vocabularies here, right? Like my sales team is not running consistent meetings. The solution to that is speaker notes. Let's put ACE and agenda in the speaker notes, right?
Yeah. We actually do this as well because Chris has also run our own revenue team through the Winning by Design architecture. And it's what I love about it for our revenue team too, is that it's simple. They're like very simple points to add instead of like a script that is very hard to run through. They're actually just nice nudges to make sure that when the moment happens, the excitement ensues when you're having, a meeting with a very, high stakes customer. You completely forget to go through your ACE. And so when it's there, it's simple, it's easy, and it's a very high impact.
Yeah. We see with this appreciate helps start the meeting. Just that one word, right? A lot of times people are coming into the meeting a little late. You're catching up on the weekend, what happened with the news. I'm sure a half a dozen meetings already this week that you all have had has started with talking about the Queen, right? Almost every meeting I've had this week started talking about the passing of the Queen, right? But you want to transition from that chit chat into a professional meeting. I appreciate your time. Starts you off that way, right? Then you can, as we said, confirm the end goal. We're going to talk about our features, right? So we're going to talk about our features. Maybe we'll do the CRM integration first. Maybe we'll do the speaker notes, and then the battle cards. Right? This is how we're going to run this meeting. Afterwards, you just want to start engagement right away. What else would you like to cover? Make sure this is an open-ended question. If you ask the closed-ended version, is there anything else you want to cover? 90% of the time, the answer is no. So what else would you like to cover? open-ended, starts an engaging conversation. And what you'll find sometimes is people will say, you know, one of these other things that I saw that you did is this other feature or this other feature, right? I'd also like to discuss how you do implementation on this call. Great, let's add it to the agenda. What else would you like to cover? Until they say, no, we're good. Let's just do that. What you'll see, because we do a lot of coaching on calls, this is what you see when you run a meeting. If this is the salesperson and this is the customer, and you're using a call recording, right? Appreciate your time. Check the end time. I'm good. Confirm the end goal. You here to see a demo? Yep, here to see a demo. Here's my agenda. What else would you like to cover? Boom. That engagement starts right away. All right. So what we want is we want this engagement, particularly if they're bringing somebody else on, right? Now we want
to just add, Chris, it's just a super small nuance, again, that you can change and remind people in your speaker notes to cue people up so that they are, they change this high impact question. That also, I mean, yes, it gets out, it starts the conversation engaging. What we found is also it ekes out some of the challenges that might be behind your deal that you didn't know about. It starts to get everybody engaged in the room, and all of the assumptions that you might have about them all of a sudden will be either validated or not when you start to get them talking about what else is on their mind.
Exactly. And if you only have 2 or 3 people from the customer in the call, feel free to ask them individually. Hey, what would you like to get out of this call? What would you like to get out of this call? And what would you like to get out of this call? If they have 3 different roles. Obviously, you can't do that if there's 15 people in the room, but you can go around by department, right? This simple open-ended what else changes all your meetings dramatically, right? Use this ACE agenda what else for the start of all of your meetings, right? Particularly for a demo to get online with what you're going to show. Okay. So now what I want to talk about is, in order to do a proper demo, we need to understand, I said, the pains that we're going to solve, right? The purpose of a demo is to show how you're going to solve the problems that they have, not to show your software solution, because it always does more than they need. And I always liken it to, like, if you use Excel or Google Slides like I do, like I only use about 5% of what it does. It does everything. I don't need to see all the macros and all these other things. I don't use it that way. So you want to show that you want to resolve their problem. So now what we see is we do a little summary. Hey, these were the problems that we talked about, right? You want to briefly talk about the layout of your solution, particularly if you're showing software. Right? A lot of times people share their screen and their eyes are all over the place, right? So you can give them a quick navigation. Hey, menu bar is on the top. I want you to focus on this part, right? And you can circle. So I want you to focus here for a moment. Circle your thing if you want, right? Now you start to demo your features. Demo 1, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, right? Setting the right agenda is going to keep this engagement. What we see, and the reason why these blueprints are written this way, is usually customer engagement. How engaged are they on that level? And then this axis this way is time. It's time, right? We are always really jazzed when we start doing a demo. Great, I got to the next place. If I show the solution, there's a good chance I'm going to close this deal. All right. Customers also, they agree to the demo. They get really excited. When it's not relevant, this is when their engagement starts to go south.
Love the sound effects.
Yeah, the sound effects. Well, I don't have, I'm not like the Jim Cramer. I don't have all the soundboard yet. So I have to add my own sound effects, right? Customer engagement goes down, right? This area here, this is what we call the engagement gap. This is the engagement gap. This happens often when we have a script that we're running through and we're just going through, hey, I'm going to show the entire solution A to B, right? How many times you've been in a solution, people are like, well, this is how you log in and put your password in. I've seen that a million times, right? Unless it's something special like a biometric, login or something super secure, people don't usually need to start there, right? They also don't need to start on the dashboard all the time. That's where this is the home screen that you get to when you log into, right? And then you spend 5-10 minutes on some summary reporting when reporting is not the problem, right? You want to get to their biggest pain point as soon as possible. There are obviously fitting in with the storyline and everything. These are just general rules.
And Chris, I think it's a super important point that you made about, how the tendency to sort of freestyle and then show more than the customer needs to see during a demo process. And that is a perfect way to use Demodesk to get your F1 or your feature 1, feature 2, and chunk them out so that you can really just show the customer in a very clean way. We all know that Demodesk, isn't sharing your desktop. We're actually in the virtual screen, so we can, really make that focus area around the true, demo experience that they need to have, and nothing more than that. And then we can move on and not have your rep kind of go into like all the odds and ends and all the amazing things that really aren't relevant to that customer at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so we'll get into, so now we're showing these features, right? So Demodesk does some of these things really, really well, which I like. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to get a little bit more to spice now. So this is the methodology. Situation are just like the facts. I'm dating myself if I say dragnet, but just give me the facts. And the facts are how many users somebody. I was off for 10 seconds. Oh, sorry about that. I don't.
Weird. We're back on now.
Okay. We're back on, I hope. Everyone give me a thumbs up if we're back on. Thank you, Maximilian, for the heads up. Okay. I'm going to move forward. I see live, so I'm going to move forward like we're live. The situation is simply, is the facts on the ground. Like, what systems are they using? How many people? Cost, money? Whatever that is. So that's just the situation. So let's talk about these as the facts. Right. I may be using Salesforce.com. I have 15 sales reps. Whatever my conversion rates are, whatever my sales cycle is, these are facts. Right? Pay the pains. These are the problems that I'm having. The problems that I may be having are conversion rates between meetings. Right? We're losing meetings. Customers are going dark. Our conversion rates are low. Right? So we're losing deals or not engaging. All of these things that are going around that are common challenges for salespeople. The impact is why people buy your solution. Impact is why people buy. There are two types of impact: emotional impact and rational impact. The emotional impact affects the person that you're speaking to individually. And each person in a buyer's journey is going to have different emotional impacts. Right? Usually the personal impact to that person is going to be either a threat or an opportunity. Right? I may lose my job. I want a promotion. I want to get my raise. I'm under a lot of pressure. Right? Most common one we see, especially friction between sales and marketing teams. I don't have enough leads. Right? My sales team's unhappy. Right? Or my marketing team's under a lot of pressure. Those type of things. Or if they're responsible for a customer experience, right? The customer impact, your customer's customer. Right? That is the emotional impact. People make emotional decisions first to solve their personal pains, and then they rationalize it afterwards. The rational impact, the benefit goes to the company, typically, right? That's usually dollars and cents, right? You can see that you can reduce your cost or basically increase your revenue. All the things, selling more, opening up new markets, improving margins, right? These are rational impacts. Typically, the person you're speaking to doesn't get to keep them themselves. They may get a bonus from it, but it affects the company. That's how they're going to rationalize it. That's why people buy, is they're buying impact. So this is important because what we're trying to get to, they're not buying your software solution. They're buying impact. That's what they're getting. Your software just happens to be a way to get that, right? If you have a headache, yeah, you may be buying aspirin, but you're buying your headache to go away. And the other classic example here is that, when people are like do it yourself at home, right? They're not buying a drill, they're buying a hole that they can put things in. That's what the drill is for, is to make a hole, right? That's sort of like the rational impact. The emotional is I get the feeling of confidence and pride I do by doing it myself. That's what drives do-it-yourself people as well. Not using a tech example there, right? But they're buying impact. So this is important because after we demo this feature, right? We just talked about these features, the CRM integration, right? The CRM integration, we also talked about the pain points, right? So there's a pain point here that we did in the diagnosis call. My conversion rates, my inconsistent, my speaker notes, inconsistent type of meetings, right? I've diagnosed a pain. I'm going to show the speaker notes as a resolution to that pain, right? I want to use ACE agenda. What else? After I show this feature, I need to validate that it solves the problem. This is a step that most demos skip. We assume that our solution solves the problem because our company's awesome, our culture's cool, our technology's great, all of these wonderful things. We assume that that's a problem, that we solve their problem. Right? This is why people go dark, because you show them something and it doesn't actually solve their problem, right? Or maybe you've shown it in a different way or haven't positioned it right. So what we need to do here is engage with them and validate, hey, will this solve our problem? Right. After we validate, this is the perfect time to confirm impact. Impact. Hey, if this solves your problem, what effect is it going to have on your business? So for example, everybody put in some of the value propositions in the comment for some of your solutions. We'll see, we'll intertwine some of these. So the classic example is if you are automating something, if somebody is doing something manual, right? The pain associated, its current situations, we're doing something manual. The pain associated with that is that it takes time, usually, and there are errors, usually. So when you show them how to automate a solution and you are going to save them time, you need to ask them, one, will this save you the time, or how much time is going to save you? During the diagnosis, someone says, this takes time. How much time do you spend? 10 hours a week doing this manually. This is the impact question. 10 hours a week. Last week on our discovery call, last week on our first call, you mentioned you spend 10 hours a week doing this. With this solution, would you save 10 hours or we still have to do some work for it? Oh, I may spend 8 hours. I'd still have to do a little work 8 hours a week. Well, that's 32 hours a month. What would you do with that time? Right? That's impact. The second impact, that's actually only one impact. That's the save time. The second impact that we mentioned is reduce errors. What happens when there is errors? Oh, when there's errors, customers call and they complain and stuff like that. Oh, what impact would it have if you have no errors? reduce call customers, emotional, happier customers, make my CS team more efficient because they're not dealing with customer complaints because of errors. And what you're starting to do is build up this value proposition or this case of impact that if you keep building this up, impact 1, impact 2, impact 3, impact 4, the price of your solution is going to look minuscule. The mistake that we see a lot of teams make is they only sell on one impact. They stop there. They're like, oh, you have this problem? Let me show you this problem, right?
And
I'm going
Chris,
to come back to that in a moment.
Just a quick question, like how often do you see that like reps actually capture both emotional and economic impact?
It's rare. It's rare that we see them capture emotional impact because most of them are not trained there.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. So they're using case studies. They're using all of these things that capture rational impact. It's like half the emails that you receive is all about rational impact. Right. Emotional impact is why people make decisions. So you have to capture those emotional impacts. And the way, we have another, we all talk about the best way to capture someone's emotional impact is through storytelling. That is for another day, and another part of the Demodesk solution.
Yeah. I mean, one area that is like an easy impact to get impact is just to add an agenda item, to remind a rep in the process, like after they demo, when things get like exciting or people are, maybe engaged, which is great. But instead of validating, we just tend to move on. And so that is where we can really make this build this into the playbook. So they're reminded that they really need to validate and make sure that they capture impact. And we also can do the entire SPICED framework, build that into whether or not you use SPICE. You could use other sales methodologies, but making sure that you capture that in what we call tokens in our solution, right, which then sync back to Salesforce. So you can actually coach to it too. As you go into, if you're sales leader on this call, you go into one-to-ones and you're looking at, what happens on calls and what reps are picking up. You can see whether or not this, high impact, validate and impact, high impact is happening, which has a huge, it can change, even like 1% to 2%, as we know, in conversion rate has an exponential effect on your pipeline. So
absolutely.
Huge.
It's a big thing, exponential. And I'm glad you brought that up again, is that it's important, especially for some of these things, to label the emotional impact. And as we close the meeting, we're going to show you how to reinforce that with your reps, right? So this, we talk about 10 hours a week, saving somebody time. People sometimes focus it on, 10 hours a week. And they're like, you can do a rational impact calculation off of that. If somebody's making $25 an hour and they're going to save 8 hours a week, that's $200 a week, right? That's really easy to do. What's more important is that most of the time when people are doing something manually, they're frustrated. And they're frustrated because they want to be doing other things that are more value added, right? Yeah. More rewarding for their job, spending more time thinking strategically. How many times do we hear that? You need to think more strategically, all right? But then you have to spend your time doing manual tasks, right? So even though there's a rational impact of saving time, there's usually an emotional impact along with that as well. I'm going to be doing something more value added. I'm going to feel better about the work I'm doing, like all of these other things, right? So you start to add these up. You start to add these up in the impact category. Add a rational, and I like to use a little heart for an emotional, right? So you can start to do this at 8 hours a week. I made up that 20% still doing that. Emotional, value added work, or other things it's going to be doing, right? So reducing errors, you're going to have happier clients. You start to build this all up. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. There's a final thing that we need to do for almost each feature set. The third thing we want to do is we want to talk about implementation. With more of a generic, how do you see yourself using this? Right. So I identified the pain, you're doing it manually. I've shown you the solution that's going to automate it. How do you see yourself doing this? This has two effects on your customers. The first one is they start to visualize a new world where their problem is gone. That visualization is going to help move this deal along. The second thing is that they're going to start working with you to solve this problem. You're like this is how we're going to do an implementation. This is how I'm going to use it. And it may identify an additional stakeholder you need to talk to. Like a lot of times we are showing managers a solution. They're like, well, I'm not going to use it. My team's going to use it. Maybe we need to get some user involved in it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Right? These are the three things. So when we look at these three things, validate, confirm impact, discuss the implementation. These are the questions that help you bridge the engagement gap. So again, you're going to bridge this gap with those three questions: validating, confirming the impact, talking about implementation. You do that for the first feature, then you move on to the second feature, and you'll do it for the third feature. This helps you elevate your solution.
And one little trick that might be useful if you're maybe concerned there's a lot that you have just queued up for your reps to see in their just standard sales narrative and how to demo. These particular questions, which just like what else are nuanced, right? They have to be asked the right way. It's if you kind of go after emotional impact, it can be, I don't know, if you ask the wrong way, it might sound awkward or creepy. I don't know if you're going, in straight for the heart, and you don't really have earned the right to do that. So like there are certain ways to ask these questions, and those can be housed in the battle cards. I house a lot of like discovery questions, for example, in the battle cards too for reps, so that they're not sort of distracted by them. They're not confused by them, but if they need them, they're like flashcards they can pull up. So if you just have like impact questions, you can just quickly pull them up in the battle card. And so I remember, okay, that's how this lands well, and this is how I should ask that question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the other great uses for battle cards is capturing stories of how other customers have used this solution, Demodesk solution, to solve their problems. Right. That sometimes comes up a lot of times in the implementation question. That some people say, well, how are other customers doing this? And you can answer that. Well, that reminds me of this customer. That reminds me of Eustace at Mercier, who that would be the story that we would tell.
Yeah. Or even, I mean, I think sometimes people struggle because they feel like, oh, we don't have a case study, or we don't have an approved case study by the marketing team on brand that I can flash in front of the customer. That is not necessary. A pocket story is totally just as effective as, the most beautiful branded slide you could ever have. And knowing you don't need to necessarily say the customer's name versus the situation, the pain and the impact, and have that pocket story readily available. Like someone in the HR tech industry, et cetera, was going through the same challenges as you, and really have that pocket story available. It can be a blind case study, in other words, but it's so impactful just to be able to relate and have that kind of storytelling element available to your reps at their fingertips.
Great. Good stuff. Okay. Now we're going to move along. So now we've done our whole demo. At this point, we've opened up, we've done the ACE, we've done the agenda, we summarized, we showed everything. We've confirmed all the impacts along the way. So now at this point, the customer said 2 or 3 times, yes, this will solve my problem. Or I'll need to do some more research. But at this point, you're not getting a no, it won't solve my problem. If you do get that answer, that's actually a great answer. I'd rather get a no in a demo meeting so I can address it and see if I haven't positioned it properly than just have them go dark. So now that the demo is over, now we want to prescribe next steps. The best thing that we can do here is to start a summary. Right. So we'll look at this and say, so if I'm talking to Lauren, so Lauren, I've shown you the solution. We went through all of these, and now we're going to confirm it with Spice. Right. So your problem was you were having low conversion rates, or your sales cycle was long, or whatever these things were. After showing you, we agreed that the impact would save you 8 hours, improve your customer experience. Did I get that right? And you get that final confirmation. Yes. Okay. When do you need this solution by? This is your critical event question. You may have gotten this in the discovery call too. They may say something like, I need this by my first quarter SKO. This is when I'm going to put all my implementation in. And there's other ways that we can identify critical events. Now we want to get to the decision process. This is both the decision process and the decision criteria. So this is when you could start to ask them, how are decisions made in the company? Or what is your decision process for this? It also helps to use a prior example. When was the last time your company bought software? Who was involved in that approval process? How long did it take? I won't get into the details, but this is when we would typically introduce a mutual action plan, depending on the size of the deal. But now you're confirming this decision process or the decision criteria. What's most important to you? If we're competing against people, now we can influence this decision criteria. This spiced framework is what you are going to use as your format for your email follow-up to the customer. Right? And it's really simple. Thanks for your time today. Quick summary. This is your current situation. These are the challenges that you're having. This is your desired impact. We showed you these 3 features that would resolve those problems. And this is the impact it would deliver. And you need this by your first quarter SKO kickoff. Next steps are, we're going to send you a proposal, or we may need to do whatever the next step is. Do we need to demo this to somebody else? Do we need to bring somebody else in? What other information do we need? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful thing that we can automate. It is so, like, as soon as you end the meeting, get that email out. You've already collected the information in your tokens. We can automate it right into the email. You can customize it a little bit, but then it's locked and loaded. It's off and into your customer's inbox when it's fresh in their mind and not forgotten. Amazingly, I don't have the stat on this. Maybe you do, Chris, but there's an incredible amount of meetings that just go without follow-up. They're just like left. It's scary to think about.
It's the thing that I see the most when I'm working with customers is so many people have back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
So many people have back-to-back meetings. They schedule an 11, they schedule a 12, they schedule a 1, a 2, a 3. And they're like, I'll get all my emails out by the end of the day, right? Your customer's already home too, right? They have families too. They have their own lives. The best thing that you can do is get that email out first while it's fresh in their mind so they can take it and forward it on to the next person that they're going to send it to, right? That helps decrease your sales cycle. Waiting till the end of the day, waiting till the next day elongates the sales cycle. makes it harder for your customer to buy.
Right? And it's harder for you as a rep, or your team members as reps, to remember. Like if you ran, I mean, forget about like back to back, even if you ran 3 different distinct sales conversations throughout the day, your brain is going to like think that you might think before the meetings, oh yeah, I'll just do this all at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, you're going to get everything confused, and it's all going to like, oh wait, was it that customer who said this or this customer who said that? So having those, like collecting the notes in the meeting and then sending it out right after, it just reinforces the ability to drive impact again by customizing the email, using the customer's voice, which I think is also super important, is to be able to collect spiced in the customer's voice. So you're able to actually share with the customer something that's so relevant to them because they actually said it in their words, not yours.
Mm-hmm. Using their words is extremely important. And I'll even ask, because by the way, if there's any, we're going to start Q&A in a couple of minutes, because just as we're talking about people going back to back, I imagine it's 20 to 11 on the East Coast. I imagine it's even later in Europe where a lot of you are, and some of you are probably getting ready to shut down right now. So your customers also are thinking the same things. So Lauren, how your calendar, when you get a calendar reminder for your next meeting, when does that usually pop up?
10 minutes before the meeting.
10 minutes before the meeting. That's the default like Gmail, GCal setting.
Yeah.
Right? This is when people start switching context to their next meeting. When the next meeting alert comes up, it's like, oh, you have alert with Acme Corp. People's like, oh, am I ready for that meeting? But like, this is the final 10 minutes of your meeting. Usually when you're trying to get to next steps, this is the most important part of the meeting. It's getting to next steps to help the customer through their buyer journey. And most of the time we're competing for our customers' attention because they have another calendar alert. You're much better off doing shorter demos, having quicker meetings, starting to wrap up 15, 20 minutes earlier, right? Confirm the next steps with 10 minutes left, wrap up the call, and use that final 10 minutes to get your meeting out, to get your follow-up notes out. Right? Your customer is going to really love you for that. They may be able to just get out that email, forward it to who needs to be forwarded out, within the next half hour. Right? I just know personally, when I get my meeting notes out right away, everything moves faster. I usually get a response within the same day because I'm top of mind. Hugely powerful tool to do. And as Lauren mentioned with Demodesk and the token integrations, this is a really easy email to get out. Yeah. Having a process like Spiced, having a framework to help you, it makes constructing your emails that much easier. I don't have to think about all the things I need to write. I just need to plug it into the framework. This is what we talked about. Here's the situation. Here's the problem that you have, both emotional and rational. Here's the impact that we discussed, that your desired impact that we agreed that this will solve. Send that to that email, in that email.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about like closing the meeting itself, and kind of the getting the next steps, et cetera. Like one of the things that we also do, and I know a lot of our customers do too, is the BAM FAM, the book a meeting from a meeting. And that is an easy end to a playbook, one where you can simply add your rep's booking page straight to the end of the playbook. They can interactively fill it out, and also that meeting ends up in their calendar, so that again, this amount of automation, so that they don't have to part of the follow-up, write the follow-up email, then send out the email. I'm kind of like having flashbacks of having to do this like back in my rep days, way back when, of like how painful it was to actually like do all this extra admin work. But those are things that we can just ensure through your customer success manager at Demodesk that you have set up these best practices if you haven't already. I know many of you probably have. And we're also going to give all of you access to the default playbooks. There are 2 of them that we've built with Winning by Design's best practices, with the ACE agenda and Spiced and these questions, these high impact questions. So you will have access to them, and then you can work with your customer success manager to make sure that they are in the playbooks and actioned.
Very excited to see you all use the Winning by Design blueprints and playbooks kind of put into Demodesk's solution. Would love to hear from you how it starts to work. I could imagine, so it's pretty close to closing in Europe now, or I think most of you are. So starting tomorrow morning, you can start using the ACE agenda and what else. I can almost guarantee you just using what else will shorten some of your discovery calls by about 10 minutes. You usually can do a discovery call, at least identify the first pain within 5 minutes, and then the rest of the call becomes really confirming the rest of Spice and setting yourselves up for a great demo. And a great demo meaning no engagement gap, right? Showing the customer how you're going to solve their problem with your solution, right? Your solution will change over time. The customer's problem is what's important, being very customer focused.
If there aren't any questions, I don't see any coming through. But like I said, we will also send out some tactical tips. We also have a Help Center article that speaks to how to line up your playbooks and best practices on lining up your playbooks. And then you'll have access to these default playbooks that will help you in either you can use them if you don't really have a playbook that you like. You can actually just like integrate your own sales demo process into it, or you can just incorporate some of the easy tactics very quickly into agenda items to just make your demos that much more powerful.
Yeah. And the final thing I'll add is that the full blueprint is available on Winning by Design on the resources section. And we can send that out to you as well. But as Lauren said, really excited at the high level, like quick reminders for the team. That is now in the Demodesk solution available to all of you.
And there's just, Chris, there's a couple of questions. One is just, can you repeat again, how do you see the follow-up email being structured?
Okay, so the follow-up email is structured with Spice, right? So when I'm taking my notes like this, and I'm taking my notes in the CRM, the token, the widget, right? You can set up in your CRM spiced fields, and this could help streamline. So I would say, I'm writing a letter now. I wouldn't say Dear Eustace, but Hi Eustace would probably be more formal. And I would write, thanks for your time today. Thanks for your time. Here are my notes. And then you could, if you want, just use Spiced, but you don't have to. This is just the framework, right? You're currently using Salesforce.com. You have 20 reps. This is, and whatever we know about them. This is your current sales cycle, right? These are the facts, right? The challenges, the pains, the problems, whatever word you want to use, the problems that you're having is low conversion rates, long sales cycle. I'm obviously abbreviating right now. Long sales cycle, right? There's frustration because manual time, people are not getting time to spend on things that they want to do, and there are errors, and there's data quality and all these other stuff. Your desired impact, this is the one word I would insist that you use, because people like your desired impact is what's important, and it's usually the opposite of the pains. Decrease your sales cycle, increase your conversion rates, not be frustrated anymore, right? You need this by, again, first quarter. You want this in place by your SKO.
Yeah.
And then we'll follow with whatever the decision process is that you have. So that's how I would structure the email. A lot of this stuff here This can be in a token situation. This could be in a token, the problem. This could be in a token, desired impact, and also the critical event. So most of that could be pre-populated into your email. So all your emails are, boom, boom, oh, I have to just do some editing because everything's in the Spice format to make it sound, obviously you want to do some editing to make it sound more human. This is just making your note capture more efficient as well. Did I capture that correctly, Lauren?
Exactly. So the structure or the template, we can also, I think you might have some templates available. We do too. We can send you some. And then the mechanics of it in terms of setting it up so that it's automated is by using tokens. Max, thank you for teeing that up too.
Yeah.
Totally right. So using those tokens, and then I would say, making sure that your reps are also like using the language that is shared during the meeting from your customer, and not sort of, we all like to recap, which is good, and mirror and all of those things, but just make sure that they're using their language that goes in to those tokens. And I also might add, just there's a lot more we can do with the Spice framework, which we do at Demodesk too, and incorporate onto the to use winning by design's language, the other side of the bow tie, or the customer journey. So this is all, these are all things that you can build into your customer success playbooks as well, for QBRs, for, those renewal conversations. There's so many pieces of this. And just in the first instance, adding that ACE agenda and adding Spiced, I would say impact and validation, most importantly, huge impact on your pipeline.
Yeah. Lauren just teased up the next in the series of Winning by Design Demodesk webinars for additional use cases. So there's definitely a lot of things that the technology and the Winning by Design frameworks, we're making 1 + 1 = 3 here. We're amplifying technology efficiencies by using the soft skills of how to run a meeting, how to actually do a demo, how to engage with people. Those soft skills done properly, amplified by technology, by tokens, by speaker notes, by battle cards, is really a wonderful outcome for everybody.
Yeah, agree. I mean, I think reps, our sales reps are all like special in their own right, have a lot of charisma, have sort of the sales special sauce that each one has. But if they don't follow a structured process and they don't follow like the process that we know works, then it's all just a guessing game of what's going on in your organization, what's going on in your sales meetings, et cetera. And it's really hard to make adjustments too. So that's why I think the Winning by Design architecture, together with the execution in Demodesk, is a winning recipe for success when at a time we know right now where productivity and making use of your resources is paramount to getting through some tough times. So work with your customer success manager. We're here to help, and we'll also follow up with some templates and playbooks that you can use and implement straight away.
Thank you very much for your time and your attention. I know everybody's time is valuable, but I hope you got a lot of value out of this and a lot of impact that you're going to receive by using these two together. Thank you, Lauren, for allowing me to spend some time with your customers.
Thank you, Chris. This was an incredible session. I know, I've implemented it for our own team here at Demodesk, and it's been game-changing for us, and I hope it is for you too. So thank you so much, Chris, again, for your amazing insight. And thank you all for joining us for the session. It's great.
All right. Thank you all.
Bye.